Hey everyone, I hope you're well. You're joining me, Max, for what it is another Q&A episode. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and or making the games that you love. You're joining me, your host, Max Peps. Today is another Q&A episode where I answer questions either from the community or just the questions that I've seen online, trying to help spread some information to all of you amazing people in order to help make a clear understanding about either level design, game design, anything that can really help with in order to make someone's life a little bit better. Also, it's cool because I get to answer questions asked by you amazing people, you amazing gurus, and you come up with some great ones and make me think about a few things that maybe I've not considered as well, which is always amazing. So this one is probably going to be a little bit shorter, sadly, just due to time, but we are getting some cool questions in, and I'm really excited to talk about a few things that we've got going on. So first one, it comes from... That's my really, really bad drum roll impression there, which is why I make levels and I don't do sound effects or beatboxing. So this one comes from Brad, and he's asking, what do you recommend for people just starting out to build a portfolio? Some projects I envision are just not possible due to the lack of AI/animation, or does that not matter? Well, this is a really good question, and I think this is one of the questions that I had thinking back when I was creating my portfolio. And it's really depending on what you're aiming for in terms of your position. Now, if it is that of a level designer, I honestly don't think you need to worry so much about AI or animation. Now, there is a lot of great packs out there for Unity or Unreal that you can use to help, but really, people want to see your blackout skills and also documentation. So you can communicate this when you're doing your blackouts by adding such things as red cubes for enemies, maybe a pink cube for interactions. All of these things can be addressed despite not having the right assets or knowledge in order to progress these. But that's what's important. And with your documentation as well, as long as you are signaling to them what this is intending to be, what you believe it can do, and how it will play out in your vision of the game, then this will be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about this. I think that's a very great question to ask. Now, depending on what else you're doing, maybe it's game design. If it's game design, and this is something that I think is a really good idea for people, is to make sure when you're doing this that you're just trying to do a mechanic. Because if it's gameplay, game design do a lot of gameplay and core mechanics. So what you want to do is show off your understanding and just make a mechanic, and firstly design it through paper design, how you think it'll work, what will its effects be, and kind of understand the process behind it through the documentation, and then prototyping it in an editor. Now you can add particle effects. They may not be how you imagine them looking in the end, but by having these reactions, you can show what it would go like, and that's the most important thing. And a great one to start with is starting small with something like taking a game that you love and creating a new mechanic or a twist on one of their mechanics they already have. This way you can show not only the understanding of a mechanic, but you're able to grasp understanding of a mechanic in a world. And I think that's super, super important to you when you're creating something. It also saves you a lot of time instead of creating a game and then trying to explain the game to people. So do take advantage of this. And same with levels. Create levels that are within games that are already out there. So that way it fits, and people who will have played the game and try to actually understand if your level design fits in the style of the game that you've made. And that's super important. So take a look at these, and these are great ways to help you in order to make something for your portfolio. So that was a great question there, Brad, and I hope that answers your question, my friend, as I really did enjoy that one. So now we're going to go on to a global question that I see asked quite a lot by starting developers and those... Sorry, I got distracted there. And by starting developers, and those in a lot of groups that I'm on Facebook or Reddit, and that one is, which editor should I use? And this one is a very, very common question. And honestly, let me rephrase this. It depends, but a lot of people ask this in terms of, I'm going to make a game, which editor should I use? Honestly, it does not matter in terms... Well, I think I need to expand on this firstly. They ask this question in thinking that this editor will be the way that makes their game amazing. That will be a sense that, oh, I've made it with this editor, therefore I'm going to be amazing with it. And that's not the case. The editor does not matter in terms of making a great game. It matters for you to have an understanding, to making sure that there's enough documentation and resources for you available to help you make this game. That's what you should be considering. There are amazing games made in Unity, Unreal 4, Construct 2, and many, many more. So when you are thinking about this, think about more in the sense of what resources are available, and think about what are your limitations right now. Is there something that this editor has that might help you, such as Unity has an amazing marketplace, so they're able to offer a lot of prototyping plugins that you can buy to help you, from the third-person controller systems maybe to an AI pack and so on. Whereas, and you can now get this in Unity with plugins, but Unreal 4, for those who do not know how to code, have such visual scripting languages like Blueprints, and it's a great way for people to understand, the mindset of coding without actually having to learn the syntax or type it out. And I think that's always cool. So keep them in mind, but please bear in mind, I'm sure most of you know this anyway, that the editor does not make the great game. That's on you and your designs. So do think about this, as that is important. And just kind of a little tag on from this is that when you are designing a game, spend time on a design document. Really do spend time on this. It is important, and it will save you headaches later in the future. Trust me. From making personal games of my own to working in AAA, I know a design document would save me time, and has saved me time from experiences I've learned from and am currently doing as well. I'm now making a personal game, and trust me spending my time, and it was a good few months, making sure this design document not only had the correct information, but making sure that it was appealing to read as well, was well worth it, because it's been able to help me get a lot of feedback. Which then tailors into a next global topic I see, which is, when is the right time to show my work? And honestly, it can be at any stage. As long as people know that you're at a certain stage, this is pre-alpha, this is very early, there's just ideas that can really help them. So think about that as well, because it's important to get as much feedback as you can as soon as possible, which is why a design doc, looping in what we just said, is really important. Because the fact that you are able to get someone to read through this, and they might ask questions that you had not thought about. And that's great, because now you have to go back and answer these questions. You don't have to answer them right away, but it's now giving you something to think about. Was this mechanic as deep as I thought it was? Or is it not? How does the story progress after this certain point? So don't be afraid to show your game throughout. Now, obviously, if you want to start, keep it small, keep it with your friends, but be careful with friends and family, as we all know, simply because they can be extra nice not to hurt your feelings. But if you do have friends who you do have solid honesty with, who are going to be blunt with you, which is great, I would recommend getting more of them. That's okay to show them stuff at this stage, because it's important to do this. So really any stage, and I recommend trying to show it as much as possible, because the sooner you get into the routine of sharing your work, the better it'll be for your project and for you, because you'll get used to this and know that feedback is important, and it's important for your game to get better and better.
If you love game and level design as much as we do, then why not consider supporting Level Design Lobby on Patreon? Patreon is a crowdfunding platform that allows people to directly fund the content and creators that they love. From as little as $1 per month, you can help support us in our mission to unite and teach people across the world about the wonderful and unique field of game and level design, and get some great reward perks in return, such as access to the Level Design Lobby community Discord, bi-monthly webinars, level design weekends, and much more. So head on over to patreon.com/Level Design Lobby for more information and to pledge your support today. Finally, we'd just like to say a massive thank you to all our current backers. It's thanks to the generous support of people like you that we are able to grow and can continue to bring you awesome, new and exciting content. So thank you. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
So I believe there we've got 3 questions done. So I'm going to answer another one. Now, I got a lot of students, especially, well, I think all of them come from, I believe it's a university in Nottingham. Let me just double check that. Yes, from Nottingham, one of the Nottingham universities, asking me questions about game and level design. So I first want to say thank you to those who did reach out to me. I was happy to help. And I'll just see what some of their questions were and bring them across here, because I got about 4 messages in total about this. So I just want to get it out there as well, because as nice as it is to chat to many of you, and I will always, as many of you know, try to give you as much help as I can. If I can spread this word bigger and better through the podcast, I think that would be better and beneficial to more of you than just through a private message to people. So let's try get this word across here. So the question was they're wanting to know what responsibilities an LD has in the industry and what is expected when it comes to work, and how level design works in terms of concept of creation. So there's a few questions there, and let's kind of break that down. So firstly is, what is the responsibility of a level designer? Well, just to put it in a simple nutshell, I think we all know it's to create a level, a space that the player will participate in and move through, but this space needs to match certain requirements that come from, say, metrics, gameplay, story, narrative, and art as well, in order to create that space. So it's not just a space that comes across empty, but it's a space that has to facilitate certain needs. I don't know why, I'm trying to sound fancy with bigger words, but I end up stumbling on it and look like a fool. But yes, it's a certain space that facilitates requirements from other departments in order to make this space engaging and to keep the players hooked and having the buzzword fun. So that's generally what the overall responsibility is, but in order to make that happen, that requires a lot of planning, which will then move on to the workflow of a level designer. And I'm sure I've mentioned it on here before, but just to recap, you will have a lot of kickoff meetings, communicate to other team members about what is the goal of this space, what is it that we're trying to achieve, the emotion of this space, what is it we're trying to do through gameplay, what opportunities are there. Once you've had this, you will then go off and start to plan, say, do your references and research, probably with sometimes environment or concept art, or you'll do it yourself and then share with them so they make sure that everyone is on the correct page. After this, you will then move forward onto the actual 2D map stage, where you get a simple idea of how you think this space is going to play out and what you think this space is going to, be encompassed by. I think that's always a nice one. And planning this stuff out really does help. And I do recommend people to do this, because it will help you gain a much better understanding and also reduce time and stress and hopefully iterations by doing like a plan of 2D map as well. Then after this, you'll then start to block out your space. This will get reviewed and it'll have multiple iterations before it's finally signed off, and then the game will be released with it. So that's generally how it comes in. There's a lot of work and stuff, so there's quite a lot of things there. But I do believe that answers the questions there. Yeah. So, and the follow-up was, who do they talk with? But I just mentioned it there. Your narrative designers, your concept artists, your environment artist, other level designers, obviously production as well. All of these will take place in order to help create a kind of healthy level for players. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap this one up that we have here. It's been an absolute pleasure, again, just talking to this. If you do have any questions that you do want to be answered, you can either tweet me at MaxPairs, or you can email them in to the email address of leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. And yeah, I can't wait to answer more of your questions, and I look forward to it. And also, we're getting much closer to Christmas, which is cool. I hope you're all excited. I'm excited to get back home, see my family as well. I think that'll be very, very nice. So yes, if you've got any questions, please send them over. If you want to help support the podcast and help improve it, that many amazing people have done, then please head over to patreon.com/leveldesignlobby in order to see what amazing sort of perks and benefits you can get alongside, as well as helping this podcast progress and grow. All right, everyone, take care, and I will catch you all next time.